Legion of Superheroes number 3, written by Paul Levitz, art by Francis Portela. We last left off with the Legion wrestling a Daxamite, who I think they may have named Renegade. I'm a bit unclear, but they definitely know his name is Renegade in this issue. And then a whole fleet of ships shows up as soon as they get him, I don't know, restrained for a second. This issue I had to read like 4 times to understand what in the hell was going on, so I'm just going to do my best. So all the ships are arriving. The Legion's freaking out. It's apparently a Dominator fleet, which is an alien race that I guess we're just supposed to be familiar with. And the Legion's like, all right, well, let's see if they're bluffing in their attack on this planet. And Phantom Girl flies up and she's like, hey, and then they immediately open fire. And it's like, well, they're not bluffing, so let's get to fighting. So we cut inside the Dominator ship, and the Dominator's like, the Legion wasn't A, supposed to be here, or B, know that we were coming, so should we turn around? And the leader's like, nah, there's nobody dangerous here on the planet, and they just show, like, the 4 that, again, I don't know, Chameleon Kid's one of them. And then we cut back over to who I guess is supposed to be the dangerous ones, and it's Brainiac 5 and Glorith, and they're testing out her shield ability thing. And basically by testing it out, it's just unleashing a massive load of firepower upon her and hoping that she can block it all. She can't, and some gets through, but Brainiac 5 she gave him like some shield technology, and that saved her. So it's like, all right, cool. So we're going to keep on testing your limits. And they're like, shouldn't we be caring about, the main plot over there? Brainiac's like, Mon-El's already on the way, and he gets annoyed when I'm involved and step on his toes. So, no, we won't be part of this. Then we cut back to the planet. The 2 people from the start who were like the new guys that I genuinely don't remember the name of at all, they're trying to hold their own. They're doing a decent job. But the chameleon lad comes in and saves them from some energy attacks. We see Phantom Girl. She's flying up inside the ships and like tearing them apart with her powers. And we see her just explode a ship from the inside. Then we cut to Cosmic Boy, Lightning Lass, Shrinking Violet, and the Invisible Kid, who are all flying to Daxam to understand, like, hey, who's this dude that's causing trouble on this planet? So they arrive on Daxam and they start talking, and they're like, okay, do you know anybody like named Resveer, a.k.a. the Renegade? And then we cut back to the fight with the Renegade, Mon-El, and this guy. I can't remember all these goddamn names. I'll get to it. Anyway, they're fighting him off, and they're doing a decent job. But as soon as Mon-El's like, oh, hang on, I hear help is on the way. And he's like, no one's stronger than us, Daxamite. And he's like, but strength isn't all there is. And Sunboy, Shadow Lass, and this guy show up. I think he's Element Lad. That's it, Element Lad. And they're like, there is a bunch of different kinds of power in the universe. So Shadow Lass puts them in shadow and blinds them, so Mon-El's able to get a few hits off. She keeps them in shadow while Sunboy and someone else fly up and start dealing with the Dominator ships as well. Cut back to Daxam, talking to some frog creature thing. And they're talking about Resveer, and they're like, well, Resveer was a student who was pursuing off-world studies. And they're like, off-world? Aren't you on quarantine? And they're like, yeah, off-world studies. Like, he's on planet, but he's studying with teachers who are from off-world. They come in via, like, VR. But we can't find a trace of him anywhere on the planet. Isn't that weird? So we just see Sunboy and a bunch of other Legionnaires all blowing up ships. A Polar Boy, I don't know. He's got cold powers. He reaches in and he freezes up the lines on a ship and causes it to explode. The Dominators are finally like, okay, the dangerous ones have shown up. We need to go. And if they want to follow us to their doom, they are more than welcome. And we see that Chameleon Lad is already on board. And he's like, well, it seems like I picked the right ship. Oh. So then we get Element Lad talking to Brainiac 5, who I guess is now part of this. And he's like, hey, so their anti-lead serum that's like allowing him to be out here, it's got something in it that ain't what you put in it. So it's like, I don't know what it is. And it's like, well, you can't change it because your powers aren't that like minute. It's traces in his blood. So you just, good job being able to sense it, but just change the oxygen around him to inertron, and then we'll cuff him. So their Shadow Lass is ready to drop the shadow around him, but as soon as she does, we see the Mon-El and this other guy I can't remember the name of have already defeated him. And Brainiac's like, but how did you do that? And Mon-El's like, let's just say I'm a little more used to action in Shadow, because he dated Shadow Lass apparently. And Brainiac quite literally does the Mon-El, ba-ba-ba-ba-da. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. Good Lord. Okay, I think my biggest qualm is the fact that throughout these past 3 issues, they only name each of the Legionnaires once. You only see their name and their little caption of who they are and their powers once. If they're introduced in issue 1, you will never get their name again. So just to recap this issue, as poorly as I did, I had to reread the previous 2 issues so that I could remember their goddamn names. This is poor writing. If you're going to introduce 20 plus characters, it seems like, you need to keep... Even Scott Lobdell writing Red Hood and the Outlaws, every issue says, my name is Red Hood, this is Starfire, this is Arsenal. 3 characters, but he makes sure that you are aware of who in the hell we're talking about. This is unforgivable. I'm giving this a 3.5. This is just bad. The only thing keeping it 3.5 is the art is good. I've never confused any characters for any other characters. They each had their own identities, and I was able to place where everything was in relation to each other. Art, fine. Everything to do with the writing, dear God. This is for people who already know everything about the Legion, and I am definitely not one of them.